Hi guys, this is Raya. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over my supplies and things that I use for my K-pop collection. I will be providing links to everything that I speak about in the description down below. I am from Sydney, Australia, so those links are most likely going to be only helpful if you are also from Australia, but most of these items you will be able to search for and find no matter where you are in the world. So just a quick disclaimer, these are just the supplies that I use, not a rule on what you should use and what you should have. Everyone collects differently and uses different things, and I know that a few of the ways that I store things are a little bit extra. So use this as a guide if you would like, or just to see what I do, but please by no means feel that this is what you have to do. Starting with A4 binders, the ones that I use are from Officeworks, which is an office supply store in Australia. Binders are, in my opinion, harder to find for whatever reason here than they are in, say, the US or other parts of the world. In terms of like good quality binders, the binders that I use are by a brand called Bantex, and for whatever reason, the 3-ring binders are only available online through Officeworks. I don't know why. The stores sell the 2-ring and the 4-ring, but the 3-ring you have to order, unfortunately. They come in sizes ranging from 25ml, which is this one, all the way up to 65, which is one about this big, quite large. This is an old 4-ring binder that I used to use. I used to keep all of my 17 things in here, like Fernandino and OT13, and clearly they don't fit in there anymore. And here my boys binder is a 38ml Hai Changmin. And then this binder here, my 17 bigger inclusions binder, is a 50ml binder. The binders are 3-ring, the ones that I use mostly. I do have that 4-ring one, but I don't have anything in it currently, just because I realized I do kind of prefer splitting things into several smaller binders rather than one gigantic one that gets up to like 5 kilos. So we have the rings, and then these ones do have a little push tab to open them, which I do prefer than prying them open myself. In terms of 9 pocket pages, I have used a bunch of different types in the past. Ultra Pro 3-hole, BCW, these Ultra Pro 11-hole ones, Herca ones, a lot of different ones, but this one here is the one that I prefer. It is Ultra Pro, but it is the 11-hole variant, which I get from a gaming store in Melbourne that ships here. Even though technically these are both the exact same in theory, they both are Ultra Pro Platinum pages. I have absolutely no idea why, but I really do prefer these 11-hole ones. They feel just nicer and softer in my opinion, which I acknowledge makes no sense, but I've had such a better experience using these, and like the clarity of the pieces once they're in them and how they last over time compared to these 3-hole pages. I know that a lot of people talk about, oh yeah, I'm replacing all of my 9 pocket pages because they've gone yucky, they've gone old. That does happen with these, and I'm not sure why that is, but I haven't experienced any of that yet with the 11-hole variant, which makes no sense, I acknowledge, but these are the ones that I use. For 1 pocket pages, I do just use ones from Officeworks. Here is the box that comes in. They are J Burrows, which is just the Officeworks like home brand, but they are heavyweight, which means that they are quite sturdy. Like, even though this has the poster in it, it is super sturdy. Like, it doesn't have any of that rippling that you sometimes get with thinner A4 pockets, pages, sheet protectors like this. So these are the ones that I prefer to use for 1 pockets. For 2 pockets, there are a couple of different types. These are your normal Ultra Pro 2 pockets, which for whatever reason are quite short. if we compare it here to the 9 pocket page, it does finish quite a bit before the regular 9 pocket page does. These do fit most things, larger postcards, things like that. So here are the boys dreamlike postcards. It does also fit that these do also fit the zines from that album. But another type of 2 pocket are these ones. These ones are by a brand called Guardhouse Shield, and I do have to buy them from Amazon from the US, but they are large. They are larger than a 9 pocket page. You can see here. So they do come out further than that 9 pocket page, so they're extra big compared to the other 2 pockets. And these are for things like an Ode mini posters, the postcards from Thrilling, these really big member postcards. They don't fit in the regular 2 pockets, but they will fit in one this size. And so they are super useful, where otherwise your only option for storing these an Ode mini posters would be to have them in a 1 pocket like this, or to like fold them back, and this is just a lot nicer to store them in, my opinion. The only thing with these is that, like I said, I do have to get them from Amazon from the US, and they are also not cheap. And the worst thing is that Amazon will always send them to me like this. They'll always package them awfully. We know Amazon's not the best for that. They will always package them in a bag, not a box, folded like this. So when I do get them, I have to like try and like press them down, and it is quite annoying. Once again, my neighbor's dog is being so loud, so I'm really sorry if you can hear it. For 3 pockets, there are a few different types. For these postcard 3 pockets, there are Ultra Pro and BCW. BCW do have an equivalent for pretty much every single Ultra Pro page, but I do prefer to use Ultra Pro. I just find that these can be a little bit inconsistent in terms of quality and like the seams and how you get them, but that might just be my bad luck. But the big difference with these is that for whatever reason, a lot of BCW things, even though they're listed at the same size as the Ultra Pros, are a little bit bigger. And so sometimes that tiny little bit bigger comes quite in handy. So here we have the Ultra Pro 3 pocket page, fits in the Your Choice postcards completely fine. Then these postcards from Director's Cut, if you wanted to put them in an Ultra Pro 3 pocket, they just don't fit. They're that tiny little bit too big for those 3 pockets, but they do fit perfectly fine in the BCW ones. That's why I do like to keep some of these BCW ones around, just in case I do have any postcards that are that tiny bit too big for the Ultra Pro. Then another type of 3 pocket page is this horizontal 3 pocket. To be honest, before these Thrilling Express tickets, I have never had a use for these pages. I believe I might have a use for them again with the folding cards for Ataka for 17, but I rarely use these. But they are a pocket page, so I thought I would show them to you. In terms of 4 pockets, we do have the thing again with the difference between Ultra Pro and BCW. Here are the Ultra Pro 4 pockets, and they have this extra line here for whatever reason, which takes up a little bit of the space that the pockets could have used. So these pockets are a little bit smaller than the BCW pockets, which don't have that extra line and do use the whole space. And as you can see, the entire sheet is also just that little tiny bit bigger. I haven't had any time when I've needed the bigger BCW page. Like these Keynote cards would fit just fine inside this Ultra Pro page. I believe I just ran out, and that's why I have these Keynote cards in these ones. But if you do have any items that should be 4 pocket size but don't fit in the Ultra Pro 3 pockets, the BCW should be okay. These Ultra Pro 6 pockets are also a pocket that I kind of rarely use. They're made for taller things, kind of like bookmarks, but I do find that most bookmarks that I get are that little bit too tall. So I do have a couple of these where I have a couple things in, like, say, these 2 pockets that stick out to here, and then that's kind of all that's in there. But they were useful for these little Stray Kids film strips from their season's greetings. So there that one is. Then lastly, we do have these 8 pockets. These are by the Ultra Pro, and they do fit mini photo cards. Things like your choice mini cards, things like that. The only thing is that there wouldn't be any room to sleeve these if you wanted to, but these pages are all acid free, PVC free, so it's completely safe to just put them in as they are. Now, in terms of mini binders, these are the mini binders that I currently have. They are from eBay, and I do quite like them. They are pretty good. But I do have a couple of B&D binders on the way from a group order, which should be here soon, I think. But I thought I would just film this video without them anyway, since I have been using these for quite a long time. These decals are available on my Etsy shop. I do make them and sell them, so that's linked in the description if you would like to check that out. These binders are quite large in my opinion, and they do fit quite a lot of pages. For example, I have 24 pages currently in this one, and that is still completely fine. It's not getting anywhere close to starting to curl over, so I do quite like these little binders. In terms of pages, these are the 4 pocket pages that I use. They are from the brand Amifa, and I do get them from Mercari Japan through Neokyo. Here is the packet that they come in and the dimensions. I used to use pockets like this, which are just a Herca normal 9 pocket page that I cut down and put extra holes in to fit the size of the mini binder, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that, and these pages are perfectly fine for storing the cards in. They will end up looking like that. But personally, I do just prefer the look of the amifa pages. Another good thing about these amifa pages is that they do fit a standard dragon shield sleeve. So that's why I prefer to use these ones over trying to get ones from B&D, even though I will be getting B&D binders, just because the B&D binder pages do require you to use a Japanese size card sleeve, which I prefer not to use. I'd much rather keep them in the classic size like I can in these pages. In terms of card sleeves, there are a few different types that I use. These ones I use for regular sleeving, and these I use as the inner sleeve if I ever want to double sleeve any of my cards. I do double sleeve cards that are older or that I consider to be more rare or precious, but that is completely up to you. Technically, if you're using Ultra Pro pages or any 9 pocket pages or PC pages that are acid free and PVC free, you'll be perfectly fine not sleeving your cards at all. So choosing to sleeve is a choice, as well as choosing to double sleeve just depends on how extra you choose to be with your collection. So this is the box that the Dragon Shield Clear Classic sleeves come in, and they are my favorite sleeves. They just look like this. I have used Ultra Pro and other brands that people use, but I find that Dragon Shield sleeves are the only sleeves that are the thickness that I like and that can keep PCs in place. I do find that with Ultra Pro sleeves, once I flip through the binders a couple times, the PCs do move around within the sleeve, and that happens far less or not at all with these Dragon Shield sleeves. Dragon Shield do also have different colored sleeves, and these are their white ones. I mostly use these as fillers to mark out extra spaces, but they work amazing for sleeving photo cards as well, just for ones where you don't mind not seeing the back. For example, I do sleeve all of my God's cards in white sleeves, just because I do keep him in a mini binder where the cards are back to back, so the backs wouldn't matter anyway, so I do white sleeve those ones. But if I double sleeve my cards and I would like an inner sleeve, these are the ones that I use. These are Dragon Shield Perfect Fit side loaders. I don't actually have the packaging that they came in, but I will insert a photo. But that's these ones. I do also get these on Amazon. These are a Japanese brand, let's say KMC, and they are mini size sleeves, kind of a similar thickness to a penny sleeve, but that is perfectly fine as an inner sleeve. And my favorite inner sleeves are that same brand again, but the Perfect Hard, and they are significantly thicker, not as thick as a Dragon Shield sleeve, but thicker than these. And I find that that's just super protective, and I do prefer these, which is why this is essentially empty. So I have some the boys cards here, just so that I can show you how the different sleeves all look. So here we have 3 Dragon Shield sleeves, and then here we have the Perfect Mini, the Dragon Shield side loading, and the Perfect Hard. So the Dragon Shield side loading would pop the PC in just like that, and then the Dragon Shield sleeve will go on top, so you can see the inner sleeve and the Dragon Shield sleeve there. Then for the Perfect Mini, I do prop the PC in right way up and just line it up to the top there, and then that this way into a Dragon Shield sleeve. And then there is the edge of the inner sleeve, and as you can see, it isn't the same size as the Dragon Shield sleeve. Like, I could move it around, which isn't my favorite thing, but these do work perfectly fine. And then the Perfect Hard, I will sleeve the exact same way, but this time this sleeve is a perfect match to fit inside the Dragon Shield sleeve. So the card and the sleeve itself won't move around inside this one. Lastly, I do have this card storage tray that I do use between storing photo cards, videos. It does all click in together to be like this, but to be honest, I never have it like this. So it separates like that, and then each of these do separate as well. Sorry, that's shaking the camera a little bit. Most of the time I do just to keep them like this in little towers of 3. And that just helps to separate different things, keep things organized while I'm waiting to put them away. Okay, lastly, I am just going to go over some tips and tricks for beginners on how to start your collection, grow your collection. Ignore this hangout I spread. Thought it would just be a little bit more interesting than a blank table for this bit. In terms of where I get photo cards from, I usually get them from a mix of Facebook, Instagram, and Mercari Japan. So for Facebook, I would just jump on, try and see if there are any K-pop specific selling or trading groups like that are specific to your country. So I'm a part of one for Australia, just for K-pop things, an Australian one for NCT, and an Australian one for 17. And I do find a lot of really good priced photo cards on there. People will also do bid sales for cards, and so I do find that that is a really good place to get things, especially locally. In terms of Instagram, there are plenty of people on Instagram selling cards, trading cards, but I have found that a lot of them are from the US, so I do find it easier to find people in Australia through Facebook. However, there's nothing wrong with buying from the US if you are in Australia or anywhere out of the US, just like me. Just means that you will usually pay a little bit more for shipping, and you just have to remember that the prices that they're listing are in US dollars rather than Australian dollars or whatever your currency is. So if you want to search on Instagram for different cards, searching up the group name and then WTS for want to sell and then WTT for want to trade. So like 17 or SVT, WTS will show you anyone who's selling 17 cards, and then you can read their info, contact them if you would like to buy off them. The last place that I get cards from, and the place I most commonly get cards from, is mercari Japan, which is a site kind of similar to eBay in the sense that like it's a place for people in Japan to sell used goods, but a lot of people do use it, especially overseas, for K-pop photo cards and K-pop goods. Since they are in Japan, you do have to purchase with them through a proxy. The proxy that I personally like is Neokyo. I haven't used Bai or anyone's like Japonica Market or anything like that, but Neokyo do have the lowest fees out of any of those proxies, and I've had nothing but good experiences with Neokyo, so I'm more than happy to use them. If you haven't purchased or made an order, I guess, from Neokyo before, and you're worried about the proxy and like it is a little bit scary to do it for the first time and get through the process and everything, there are lots of people who run group orders for mercari Japan and for Neokyo or Bai, but I do normally see Neokyo. I see them listed through those Facebook groups or through Instagram. Just type like hashtag NeokyoGo. A lot of times people do open those worldwide as well for photo cards, so you can just send the group order manager. I have done these group orders in the past. You can send the group order manager the links to the items on Mercari that you would like to purchase, and then they can help you purchase them, and then once they receive them, send them to you. So you don't have to worry about dealing with the proxy and all of that stuff. The group order manager will do that for you. Sometimes, yeah, I do. Sometimes I run those group orders. So, I mean, if you're in like the 17 Australia Facebook group or whatever, check out if I'm doing one. Sometimes I am. A thing with Mercari, and I guess with just cards in general, unfortunately, member pricing is a thing. Really wish it wasn't. It's not like there are any cards that are rarer to pull than any other cards in terms of like album stuff, but that's just unfortunately how it is. Like, you will find this card for ridiculously cheaper than say this one. It all just depends on member popularity as to how much members will cost, and so that's not really something that you will know straight off the bat. So just search up the idol that you are looking to collect, scroll through some of the things, find the prices that you find to be most common, and then that should give you an idea of how much their PCs in general should cost. Things will always vary, like albums, like older albums to newer albums, with the stuff out of print, stuff like that, but that should give you a general okay idea. Another good tip for Mercari is finding things in sets. Since you are paying a service fee of 250 yen plus like the 3.6% plus 40 yen or something like that, I'll write it here, per transaction through service fees, if you can find a bunch of cards in a set and you can where you only have to pay that service fee once, you will be saving money as opposed to buying those cards separately, even if the cards appear to be cheaper separately. So if I was to buy like 4 Vernon cards for 300 yen each, if I found those 4 same cards in a set for like 1700 yen, that price is still cheaper once the fees are added in than if you were to buy them all separately. So just think about things like that. It's a little way to save money. All this stuff will come naturally once you go through Mercari for a bit. It seems a little bit intimidating at first, but it is super easy to use. The last thing that I wanted to talk about on Facebook, Instagram, Mercari, anywhere, is just being able to recognize fake goods or fake photo cards. It doesn't happen that often, and you shouldn't go into everything assuming that people are going to scam you, but it can happen, and it does happen now and again. So it's important to know your photo cards and know what you expect from them. in terms of how they would look. And so this is a hip hop team card from AL1. Most photo cards will have these. Have these little, I call them specks on them. I call it specks, I don't know why. It's like manufacturing marks, right? Because photo cards are all printed on one big sheet and then cut out, and then these little specks hold them to the sheet until they're ready to be popped out singularly. And so normally if you can see specks in the photo, you know that that card is legit. Also with these ones, as you can see, the picture is glossy, but the photo card itself is matte. So knowing things like that and being able to identify them in the picture would help you know if this card is legit or not. And with a card like a teenage card, so here is Seungkwan's orange teenage card. Since teenage cards are harder to find, you will find them more expensive. So it's more important in that case that you make sure that you're not getting scammed. So as you can see, this one does have the little specks on them, and teenage cards are matte. So if you see a listing where the teenage card is glossy, you know that that isn't a legit card. Mostly with collecting, just have fun. It, after all, is a hobby and you shouldn't be finding it stressful or unenjoyable. There's nothing wrong with picking up a collection and then deciding that you don't find joy in it anymore and letting it go. Collect in a way that makes you happy, because it is so much fun to collect. And although there are bad eggs everywhere, this community is generally a really fun and safe place. Okay, that was all from today's video. I hope that you found it helpful. Again, everything that I've talked about today will be listed in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer. So thanks again for watching. I hope you have a nice day.